Hey guys, how you doing? Ron Raymond here from the Raymond Report with your CFL Week 4 Inside the Red Zone. It is Tuesday, June 28th. Hope you're having yourself a good start to your day. As always, don't forget, subscribe to our channel by tapping that notification bell in the top right-hand corner, or hit the subscribe button below this video if you're using a mobile device. Today's podcast is brought to you by ATSstats.com. Sign up today and take advantage of the special offer we got going on right now. It's only $4.99 for the week, and you get access to the entire website, including our CFL reports for week number 4. All right, this is the Red Zone Inside the Numbers, and what we're going to do in this segment is we're going to talk about the Canadian Football League going into week number 4. We got some great matchups this weekend. In fact, taking a look at some of the games we got going, you got the BC Lions playing Thursday night against the Ottawa Red Blacks. BC a 3-point favorite. The over-under is set at 47. Edmonton on your Friday night football game of the week. You got the Tiger Cats at home at Tim Hortons Field, a 6.5-point favorite. 46.5 is the number. Montreal winning last week at home against Saskatchewan, so you got a back-to-back game with the Green Riders, and Saskatchewan a 4.5-point favorite at home. 46 is the total. And then Winnipeg taking on the Toronto. I think that game's next Monday in Toronto. Winnipeg a 4.5-point favorite. 42.5 is the over-under. All right, let's take a look at inside the numbers for CFL week number 4. And what we do in this segment, I call the SBI, the Sports Betting Index. This is basically my Dow Jones Industrial, and this is where I get a good reading on what has come in the CFL through the first 3 weeks of the season. And as you can see right now, 83% of the favorites have cashed in so far this year, straight up. 16.7 for the underdogs. And when you look at the over-unders, it's at 41.7 for the overs, 58.3 for the unders, and against the point spread, it's 50-50. So bookmakers done a good job balancing the number, and as you can see, a big difference from 83.3% of the favorites winning straight up, but covering the point spread, it's 50-50 when it comes to the numbers. Favorites on the seasons, 10-2 straight up. And when you look at the underdogs, in fact, let me go right here. The underdogs only 2-10. And 6-6 against the number, obviously, and 5-7 to the under. So a little lean so far to the defenses. That's par for the course. Anytime anybody's been involved in football, always knows that the defense is always ahead of the offense. Unless you play for the BC Lions, then you're scoring at will, right? And so we'll take a look at some of those numbers. But going into week number 4, the favorites have high ratio, and I think last season was 73% or 71 or 73% of the favorites won straight up. So a little bit of more work to do here for the underdogs to get back to that 70 range. All right, let's take a look at the Bears and Bulls report in the CFL and what I do in this segment. And I take a look at all the teams. What type of team are they, right? Are they A, B, or C type team in the Raymond report? And if they're an A type team, that means they're a team that has a winning percentage of 60% or higher. A B-type team is a team that's 50 or 59.9, and if they're a C-type team, those are teams that have a losing record of 49.9 or lower. So teams without a winning record, those are my C-type teams in the Raymond report. And as you can see right now, Calgary, a bullish team, and in order to get in a bullish cycle, you got to be 3-0 or better. In order to be in a neutral cycle, you're 1-2 or 2-1. And if you're in a bear cycle, you're 1-2 or 0-3 in your last 3 games. And right now, Calgary, BC, Winnipeg, and Saskatchewan are the only A-type teams right now in the Raymond report. Toronto is a B-type team. They played BC last Saturday night, and they got smoked. 44-3, I think, was the final. And then you got Montreal, Ottawa, Hamilton, and Edmonton. Those are your bearish teams right now because those are your teams with a losing record. And what stands out right there is you got 3 of these teams in the East, right? So not a good start for the Eastern Division in the CFL. All right, let's take a look again at the standings inside the numbers. And what I do here is I take a look at what has come in. Favorites are 10-2 straight up, 6-6 against the point spread. But if you look at some of the, if you go a little bit more in depth, home favorites this year in the CFL, 8-1 straight up, but only 4-5 against the numbers. So even though people and sports bettors love to bet the favorites, you got to be careful because even though they do very well against the on the straight up factor, they don't do well against the point spread. 4-5 for 44%. And the thing is, and you know, I talk about this all the time when I'm talking about sports betting. Me personally, I got a couple of rules. Number one is that I don't lay points in spread sports like basketball, football. I'll take the money line or I'll take the underdog, right? Because here's why. Would you rather be an 83.3% winner or a 50% winner when it comes to the point spread. Or if you're betting just underdogs, 16.7% straight up or 50%, right? So if you look at it that way, then I'd rather take the money line on favorites, but I'll pick my spots, and I'm not obviously gonna lay 9-10 points on the money line, because that'll cost you like $700-800. But if I can get -2, -3, 4, 5 is maybe the highest I'll go, and it's like a 220, 250 money line. Even 250 is a little bit high for me, but I will consider that when it comes to the money line. But I'll take the point spread when it comes to the underdogs, right? If you want to give me an underdog at +3, +4, whatever, then that's the way I'll wager on my football games. But I'm very disciplined. I pick my spots, and I'll take money line on the favorites. I'll take the underdogs when it comes to the point spread, or I'll bet the over-under when it comes to the total, right? All right, so that's how I look at it that way. Just going back here to the spreads. So it's still early. It's only week number 4. But so far through the first 3 weeks of the CFL season, CFL favorites of 3.5 to 6.5. You can see they are 4-1 straight up, but only 2-3 against the number. And this is why I say you got to be very careful betting favorites, right? That's why I prefer the money line. 83% is way better than 16.7 or 50% when it comes to the betting favorites on the point spread. All right, let's take a look at the scoring machines in the CFL and the defenses. And again, it's only the first 3 weeks, so some of these teams have played cupcake schedules so far. And when you think of Winnipeg, they played Ottawa twice. And when you think of Saskatchewan, BC, they played Toronto, a losing record. They played Edmonton, has a losing record. So you got to take it in perspective. BC, the number 1 offense in the league at 51.5 points for this season. The Calgary Stampeders, even though they're the second-ranked offense and they're 3-0, they had to come back from all 3 games to win their games, right? I'm not sold yet on the Stampeders. Montreal looked really good in all 3 games this season. They should be 2-1. Let's be honest. If the Cote makes that field goal, they're 2-1 on the season, and they could be 3-0 if they would have beat Calgary. They lost that game in week 1, 30-27, I believe was the final in that game. Saskatchewan ranked number 4th on offense. Winnipeg, 21.3 points per game. They're a good team. They beat, I think it was Hamilton at home this past Friday night. They played Ottawa. Ottawa, game a real dogfight in both those games. So Winnipeg, even though they're 3-0, it's not a convincing 3-0 like BC's a convincing 2-0. But maybe the strength of schedule had something to do with that. Hamilton, 0-3. Your defending Grey Cup finalist is 0-3 to start the season. And you know what? You lose Mazzoli. You lose Speedy Banks. Where's that offense going to come from for Hamilton, right? Edmonton, Chris Jones is still trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together in Edmonton. He's, who's in the zoo, right? He's got to figure out what he's got. He just took this team, so he doesn't really know exactly what he has as a unit yet. Ottawa, only scoring 14.5 points a game. The one thing I don't like with Ottawa's situation right now, and I like Paul LaPolice. I think Coach LaPolice is a great football coach. But the one thing I do know, it's very hard for a head coach to be a coordinator at the same time, right? When you're a head coach and an offense coordinator or defense coordinator, it's one of the toughest things to do in sports, and I'm going to give it a couple weeks to see how this plays out. But again, it's a tough situation for LaPolice. Maybe he gives up the offense and just manages the team and bring in an offense coordinator. But we'll see. We'll see what happens this Thursday against the BC Lions. Toronto, 9th ranked offense in the league, only scoring 11.5, and the weapons are there, right? They got some good. It's the defense that I'm really questioned about right now. I don't know what they got on defense yet. I know they can put points on the board. I know they can move the ball. It's defensively, and look at that. They're ranked 8th offense. 8th on defense and 9th on offense. So Toronto, jury's still out on them. BC, number 1 ranked defense so far. Man, BC looks good the first 2 games, but let's see them play Winnipeg or Calgary to see if they're for real. Winnipeg ranked number 2 on defense. Ottawa number 3, even though they're 0-2. They got the 3rd ranked best defense so far. Montreal ranked number 4. Saskatchewan, Calgary still giving up 26.6 points against on offense, on defense, so that's a little bit concerning for Dave Dickinson. Hamilton ranked number 7. I'm not worried about Hamilton's defense. It's where they're going to get the points for. That's a head scratcher right there. Toronto number 8 and Edmonton number 9. We'll give Jones give him a couple more weeks to figure it out here for the Edmonton Elks. All right, let's take a look at the. So as I said, when I look at sports, there's a certain type of feeling in market psychology that goes into putting a line in for the bookmakers. and the betting public, right? And what their job to do is, if you get 100 people in the room, you need 50 betting on BC, 50 betting on Ottawa, and then you make your juice in the middle. And in the Raymond Report, I talk about those A, B, and C-type teams. Well, when the BC Lions were on the road against those C-type teams that have a losing record, you can see that the BC Lions are 5-1 straight up, 0-6 to the under. So maybe the under is where you want to consider this Thursday night against the Ottawa Red Blacks. And look at the average score, 23-14 for BC, and the average line is 4.1, and the total average total is 49, and it's 47 this Thursday. So maybe the under, and I'm just not sure about the side yet. I want to give Ottawa a little bit more time to see what they can do on offense. Ottawa at home against those A-type teams the last few years since 2019, only 1-6, so they struggle against the top teams in the league. 2-5 to the under. Again, there's that under trend pointing towards, and look at the average total, 18, which is what, 46. So maybe 46 is where you want to lean on Thursday's game between Ottawa and BC. Let's take a look at the next game. Edmonton taking on the Hamilton Tiger Cats on the road. Hamilton, a C-type team. Edmonton against those C-type teams, 3-3 straight up, only 2-4 against the number. The average score is 24-23 for the home team. So it looks like it could be another long night for Chris Jones and the Edmonton Elks. Hamilton at home against those C-type teams. Now keep in mind, 9-1 straight up, 7-3 against the number, 3-7 to the under. But those were Mazzoli-led teams, and the Speedy Banks was there. The offense was in full gear. 29-16 is the average score. But I think Hamilton has enough here to win, and the line is 6.5. I just don't know, because the average line is -8 normally when they're at home against those C-type teams. So, the bookmakers has them at -6, so they're undervalued when it comes to the line. And for the Montreal Alouettes, the one thing, I'm not too crazy about back-to-back game situation. It's almost like double headers in baseball, right? So Montreal on the road against those A-type teams, which Saskatchewan is. You look at Saskatchewan, 2-1, 67% on the year. You can see that they're 0-8. So Montreal on the road against those C-type teams, the beatables, they should be able to beat them, but they don't. Look at that, 0-8, but 5-3 against the number. But I don't like that these play each other out right here, right? That you see 0-8, and you said, okay, Saskatchewan, but 5-3. It's like, I wish it was either 4-4 or 3-5, right? So not too crazy about that. And when you look at Montreal scoring last week, special teams, defense, we'll see who shows up this week for Montreal. And Saskatchewan, they're a good team. We'll see how they do at home against those B-type teams. Like Montreal is a B-type team, right? Or no, C-type team. That's right. Montreal is 1-2, so they are a team below 500. So we're going to change that to a C-type team. And Saskatchewan, wow, 8-1 against those C-type teams, 4-4-2 when it comes to the point spread, and 5-4 when it comes to the over/under. 5-4, and then you got 4-4-1. Should be 4-4-1, not 2. And then the average score is 30-19, so 49 points. Maybe the over is where you want to lean. And what's the over in that game? 46. So maybe the over is where you want to go, Saskatchewan and Montreal. And let's take a look here at the other game, Winnipeg. Let's take a look at Winnipeg on the road against those C-type, B-type teams, because Toronto was 1-1. They beat Montreal by a lucky field goal. Look at that, 1-3 against those B-type teams on the road. So that is, you know what? That's that market psychology I was talking about, right? You get a team like Winnipeg, who's two-time defending Grey Cup, and they go 2-0 against Ottawa. They beat Hamilton, but offensively, they're not really a power machine like the BC Lions have shown, Calgary. So you know what? This will be an interesting matchup. And when you look at Toronto at home against those A-type teams, Toronto at home against those A-type teams, what's their record since 2019? 3-5, 2-6 against the point spread. The average score is 32-20 for the road team. So maybe the over is where you want to lean between Winnipeg and Toronto. So far, when I'm leaning in week number 4, I'm not sure if I'm going to touch that BC Ottawa game yet. Edmonton, Hamilton, not too crazy about that. I think the over in Saskatchewan, Montreal, over Winnipeg, Toronto. Those are my early leans for week number 4. All right, folks, don't forget, you can get the Raymond Report each and every day right here at atsstats.com. I'm only about one of our 2 or 3 website that carries CFL matchup against the point spread. A lot of sites like ESPN, TSN, all those other sites that have the stats. But we do everything that has the point spread included, right? So if you look at the Raymond Report, it's a detailed tip sheet, and it gives you all the information, the team history between the teams against the point spreads, and it's all here on a very detailed past history, what the lines were. And if you scroll right down here, again, we give you like the road favorites, home underdogs record. The BC situation, for example, coming off 2 ATS wins, they are 14-5 against the point spread. And folks, you can get the CFL Raymond Report each and every day right here at atsstats.com. In the meantime, enjoy CFL week number 4. As always, shop for value, play those percentages. I'll see you back shortly with another Raymond Report.